Hello students, this lecture is of social studies and for the students of class 7. Chapter 12, Session 3, Muslim Scientists, Philosophers and Travelers, and here is your presenter Saira Nadeem. Learning Outcomes: to study the culture of knowledge among early Muslims, to learn about famous Muslim travelers and scholars from 9th to 15th centuries, to learn about the inventions done by Muslim scientists, and to learn about the contributions of Muslim scientists, philosophers, mathematicians and scholars towards the different fields of science. On page number 58 and 59, here are the difficult words that we are going to have, and the meanings are written here. Eventually, in the end. Shrewd, having or showing sharp powers of judgment. Trapped, a dangerous or unpleasant situation which you have got into and from which it is difficult or impossible to escape. Civilization, the process by which a society or place reaches an advanced stage of social and cultural development. Immortal, never dying or decaying. Derived, obtain something from a specified source. Algorithms, a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. Sundials, an instrument showing the time by the shadow of a pointer cast by the sun onto a plate marked with the hours of the day. Quatrains, 4-line stanzas. Remarkable, worthy of attention. Geography, the study of the physical features of the earth and its atmosphere, and of human activity as it affects and is affected by these, including the distribution of populations and resources and political and economic activities. Ibn Khaldun, 1332 till 1406. Abdul Rahman ibn Muhammad ibn Khaldun, who lived from 1332 to 1406, is known as the father of historiography. Born in Tunisia, Ibn Khaldun grew up to a quite turbulent life. He served at the royal court in Fez, Morocco, and then went to Granada and eventually back to North Africa. He also served as Grand Qazi Chief Justice in Cairo. He was trapped in Damascus when the city was attacked by Timur, who allowed him to return to Cairo, an unusual event as many people were killed in this battle. Ibn Khaldun was a shrewd observer of human nature and the development of people and civilization. He can also be called the father of sociology for his study and observations on groups of people. The Muqaddimah, introduction to the Kitab al-Ibr, written by him, is an immortal piece on history and the rise and fall of civilizations. Ibn Khaldun died in Egypt. He was born in Tunisia in 1332. Ibn Khaldun is the sheikh of all social scientists. He was a philosopher of history and the first social scientist. He was a major Islamic thinker who emphasized empirical thought over the normative theory. Ibn Khaldun made 3 very important contributions to social scientists. He emphasized the importance of the empirical facts, developed a theory of change, and identified tribal solidarity as the driver of change. Ibn Khaldun's findings and research on social changes, concept of Asabiyya and Muqaddimah, gave him the status of father of sociology. He coined the term Umaraniya and introduced the scientific method of study. The last volume deals largely with the events of his own life and is known as Al-Tasrif. This was also written in a scientific manner and initiated a new analytical tradition in the art of writing autobiography. Ibn Khaldun's influence on the subject of history, philosophy of history, sociology, political science and education has remained paramount ever since his life. His books have been translated into many languages, both in the East and the West, have inspired subsequent development of these sciences. Ibn Khaldun was a historian and historiographer in the 14th century. He was also known as the father of historiography. His major work was Muqaddimah that he wrote in 1377, the preface of his work on world history, Kitab al-Ibr. In Muqaddimah, he strongly criticized the mistakes regularly committed by historians and mentioned the difficulties faced by historians in writing historical works, highlighted on the methods of historical writing. Al-Khwarizmi died in 840. Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi was a famous mathematician who was born in Khwarizm in Persia. He established the Indian numeral system and the use of zero in mathematics. His fame rests on his work Al-Maqala fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabla, from which the word algebra is derived, and on his mathematical calculation, which are named after him algorithms. Al-Khwarizmi also worked on astronomy and geography and made sundials and astrolabes. He died in 840. Al-Khwarizmi's contribution to algebra. Al-Khwarizmi on the Hindu art of reckoning. Only words, no symbols or numerals. This text was later studied in Europe for centuries. Studied quadratic equations and their solution. Invented completing the square and developed geometric representations of this process. The terms algebra and algorithm come from his own name. His achievements. He was the first who adopted zero as a number. Khwarizmi developed detailed trigonometric tables containing the sine functions, which later included tangent functions. He introduced the use of decimal point. 5 facts about Al-Khwarizmi. Number 1. He is one of the most prominent mathematicians in history. Number 2. He was a Muslim, but I assume you already knew that. Number 3. He wrote the first book on algebra. You can thank him for all those great algebra lessons you've had in class. Number 4. The term algorithm was derived from his own name. Al-Khwarizmi, algorithmi, algorithm. You see? Number 5. Without algorithms, you couldn't have washed this on your fancy computer. Thank you, Al-Khwarizmi. He was a Persian mathematician, astronomer, and geographer. Omar Khayyam, 1048 till 1125. Omar Khayyam, as he is popularly known, was of Persian origin. His name, Khayyam, actually means tent maker. He became famous later for his rubaiyat or quatrains, 4-line stanzas. Rubaiyat is plural of rubai, which is a 4-line poem. Omar Khayyam's anthology of the rubaiyat was translated into English by Edward Fitzgerald in the 19th century. It became a very popular book in Europe. Khayyam's important contribution to mathematics and astronomy, however, is less known. He reformed the Persian solar calendar and renamed it as the Jalali calendar after a ruler of that time. This calendar is believed to be more accurate in its astronomical calculation than the Gregorian calendar, with the difference of only 1 day in 3,770 years. Books by Omar Khayyam. Here are the pictures. Mathematical Treasures of Omar Khayyam. Short questions on page number 58 and 59. Question number 18. What do you know about Ibn Khaldun? Abdul Rahman ibn Muhammad ibn Khaldun is known as father of historiography. He served at the royal court in Fez, Morocco, and also served as Grand Qazi Chief Justice in Cairo. He is also called father of sociology for his study and observations on groups of people. Question number 19. Write a brief note on Al-Khwarizmi. He was a famous mathematician who was born in Khwarizm in Persia. He established the Indian numeral system and the use of zero in mathematics. His fame rests on his work Al-Muqala fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabla, from which the word algebra is derived. He also worked on astronomy and geography and made sundials and astrolabes. Question number 20. What were the contributions of Omar al-Khayyam? Omar Khayyam's important contribution to mathematics and astronomy is less known. He reformed the Persian solar calendar and renamed it as the Jalali calendar. It was believed to be more accurate in its astronomical calculation than the Gregorian calendar. Short question number 21. What was Omar al-Khayyam popularly known as? Omar al-Khayyam was of Persian origin. His name Khayyam actually means tent maker. He became famous later for his rubaiyat or quatrains. Long questions on page number 59. Question number 1 is, what are mechanics, meteorology and philosophy? And for that we have to write down the definitions of them. Here I have written one of the definitions of each of them, and you can write down any of your own as well by searching on it. Question number 2 is, what is the difference between astrology and astronomy? Astrology is the study of the movements of planets, stars, etc., in the belief that these can influence people's character and future. Astronomy is the scientific study of the stars and planets and their movements by means of telescopes and many other scientific instruments. So this is the difference between them. Question number 3. Write about the importance of Al-Khwarizmi's work and how did this help later scientists and scholars. Al-Khwarizmi's work on mathematics, especially algebra and the concept of zero, revolutionized the application of mathematics to science and engineering. His major contribution was the adoption and the use of zero in mathematical calculations. Previously, a dot had been used to indicate nothing, and this led to confusion. He also was the inventor of what we call algebra, and the complicated term used in higher mathematics called algorithm, which is extensively used in computers today. His advances in astrolabes were also important. For question number 4, you will be having the outline map of Europe, Asia and Africa. What you have to do is you have to find out the places that Ibn Battuta has visited and join them. Outline of the map of Europe, outline map of Africa, outline map of Asia. Do you think traveling was easier in Ibn Battuta's time than it is now? Discuss this with your parents and friends and write down a short paragraph on it. Question number 5 will be your home assignment. Who do you think made the most lasting contributions to knowledge? Who do you find the most interesting person and why? And for that specific question, you can write about any of the personalities that we have learned during this chapter. Please make objective sheets in the form of multiple choice, fill in the blanks, true, false, or matching columns, and try to solve them on your own. This is the end of session 3. Thank you, students, and take care.